UFC Fight Night Gane versus Tuivasa. Fights to make next. The main event, Ciryl Gane going out there and TKOing Bam Bam Tuivasa in round number 1. We're going to do the fights to make next for these three top fights of the card. Gane versus Tuivasa, Marvin Vittori, Robert Whittaker, Nasruddin Imavov, and Joaquin Buckley. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll do a few of the prelim fights as well. Comment down below your fights to make next after UFC Fight Night Gane Tuivasa. And let's get in for the first fight here in the middleweight division with Buckley and Nasruddin Imavov. But before we do that, make sure you guys hit the like button because we're trying to get this video to about, let's go 40 likes. It's a weird number, I know, but if we can get it to 40 likes and you comment literally anything down below in the comment section, one of you guys that comments the video, if it gets to 40 likes, I will give all of my UFC 279 bets for free. So smash like and let's get into this one. Buckley versus Nasruddin Imavov. Joaquin Buckley did a pretty good job in round number 3, making it a banger. Going out there, landing some huge shots on Nasruddin Imavov after getting kind of wrestled and grappled in round number 1 and round number 2. Almost submitted in round number 2, got full mounted in round number 1, but he put on a very good show. It was one of the best fights of the night in my opinion, and he's coming off some very good wins. Only losing at Kevin Holland in his UFC debut, Alessio the Ciryl, which if they rematch, he's probably not going to lose that fight. And then Nasruddin Imavov beating Impa Gazanganai, Jordan Wright, Antonio Arroyo, Abdulrazak Alhassan, and Albert Durayev. So I personally do think that Joaquin Buckley is top 15 material, but we're not going to give him another top 15 fight in Nasruddin Imavov. We're going to give him someone else right outside of the top 15. There's a few guys that do have fights right outside of the top 15. There's Ciryl right there. It's not going to be too fun of a fight, in my opinion, and I'm looking for a good fight for Joaquin Buckley to have in this middleweight division, and that fight is going to be Punahele Soriano. I want to make this fight because it's going to be an absolute banger. A lot of the other fights that I would make for Joaquin Buckley as of right now, they already have fights. So, a few of the guys I was thinking of, maybe Julian Marquez, if he were to win against Gregory Rodriguez, but then he lost, and then he was scheduled for the round win, so we can't really do that. Possibly the winner of Gregory Rodriguez Chidi Bang Bang, which is going to happen on September 17th. So, depending on the winner of that fight with Chidi and Joaquin Gregory Rodriguez, that could be the fight that I would want next for Joaquin Buckley. But as of right now, as of the fights, the fighters that don't have fights scheduled, I think a fight with Punahele Soriano would be great. They both lost recently. Nick Maxima, Brendan Allen got a lot of TKO wins. Both guys get all their wins inside the UFC by TKO, except for a decision that Joaquin Buckley got with Abdulrazak Alhassan. So I think that'd be an amazing striking battle between two guys. In the middleweight division, if Punahele wins, that puts him very close into a top 15 fight. But again, that is one fight to be made, is Buckley versus Punahele Soriano. Another one, if that is not the fight the UFC decides to go for, and Gregory Rodriguez wins or Chidi and Joaquin wins in fantastic fashion, getting a nice TKO win in round number 1 or round number 2, I'd rather do that one. Buckley versus Gregory Rodriguez would be a banger. Buckley versus Chidi and Joaquin would be an absolute banger. So I would say the winner of Gregory Rodriguez, Chidi, and Joaquin, if it is a crazy good finish, something like that. Or we're going to go with the man, the myth, the legend in Punahele Soriano. That's what I think for that one, for Joaquin Buckley's next fight. But for Nasruddin Imavov, we're not giving him anyone outside of the top 15. We're going to the UFC rankings and the top 10 of the middleweight division. Just beat an unranked fighter in his last fight, beat another unranked fighter before that, beat a ranked fighter against Edmund Shabazian, but he is no longer inside of the top 15. So as of right now, you gotta think, who is a good matchup for Nasruddin Imavov? Who is another guy that can compete with him in the striking a little bit, compete with him in the grappling and wrestling, and make it a pretty good step up in competition, but not too much to where he's probably gonna lose the fight? I think a good fight is going to be the loser of Derek Brunson and Jack Hermansson. They are scheduled to have a main event. I'm not too sure when. I think it might be in October or November, something like that. Not 100% too sure, but Derek Brunson and Jack Hermansson are scheduled to fight in a 5-round main event. The loser is probably going to be somewhere around number 7, number 8, number 9 in the UFC's middleweight division. And I think Nasruddin Imavov has deserved that type of fight to get with the loser of Hermansson and Derek Brunson. So that would be the fight to make next there for Nasruddin Imavov. If you want a picture of it, we did post it on our Instagram a little while ago. The loser of Jack Hermansson, Derek Brunson versus Nasruddin Imavov. For the co-main, Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vittori. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. First off, for Marvin Vittori, he's not going to go up the rankings, fight Jared Cannonier. He's not going to fight Robert Whittaker. Not going to go out and fight Derek Brunson, Pereira. Nah, we're not going to do a Paulo Costa rematch. Sean Strickland's injured. Jack Hermansson has a fight right now. Darren Till also is going to be having a fight. I don't think he has a fight, but I think he keeps on having these cancellations, and there's no way you're moving Darren Till all the way up to number 2. So it's very tough to say who are you going to give to Marvin Vittori as of right now. Who is a good matchup for Marvin Vittori in the UFC's middleweight division? And in my opinion, I think we found the answer for Marvin Vittori right now. After this fight with Robert Whittaker, he's probably going to move down to number 3 in the UFC's middleweight division. And we got a great jiu-jitsu practitioner in Andre Muniz at number 10 right there. He's not going to fight Darren Till. He's not going to fight Hermansson or anything like that. Sean Strickland, no. Paulo Costa, no. Alex Pereira, no. Derek Brunson, possibly if he loses the fight, but I think that should go to Nasruddin Imavov. I think, honestly, Marvin Vittori seems like a pretty good matchup. The number 3 UFC middleweight in the world versus the number 10 middleweight in the world on the main card of a pay-per-view. If Andre Muniz wins, you give him one more fight. If he wins that one, you give him a title shot. If Marvin Vittori wins, that puts him right back in the mix of things of the middleweight division. So Marvin Vittori and Andre Muniz. For Robert Whittaker, on the other hand, it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough in my opinion, because Whittaker's already beaten number 2, the other number 2, Marvin Vittori, but technically number 3. He's beaten Derek Brunson. He's already beaten Darren Till down here. Jack Hermansson has already lost to Marvin Vittori, a guy that Whittaker just beat. Sean Strickland is coming off a loss. Paulo Costa lost to Marvin Vittori already. Who are you going to give Robert Whittaker at this point in his MMA career? I got the answer. UFC 281, I believe that's the card, with Adesanya and Alex Pereira. I believe that fight card's happening in like November, something like that. I think the loser of that fight should face Robert the Reaper Whittaker if it is Alex Pereira. If it's Ciryl Adesanya that loses that fight, I don't know. I literally would have no idea what to do at that point. If Adesanya loses the belt to Alex Pereira, I don't know what to do with Robert Whittaker. He's already kind of cleared out most of the division. Maybe you just give him a Sean Strickland at that point. But at this point, I think the only logical matchup would be a nice kickboxing matchup with Alex Pereira and Robert Whittaker if Alex Pereira loses to Israel Adesanya. For the main event, Bam Bam Tuivasa versus Ciryl Gane. Bam Bam, if you look at him on the UFC rankings, at number 3, losing to number 1, and knocking down Ciryl Gane in the fight. He made it very, very interesting, but he's not going to go up in the rankings. He's not going to fight for the belt, not going to fight Gane in a rematch, not going to fight Stipe, not going to fight Curtis Blaydes. Sergey Pavlovich is right there. 2 guys that knocked out Derek Lewis in round number 1 or round number 2. Tom Aspinall is there, and I would say to do a Tom Aspinall Tai Tuivasa fight, but Tom Aspinall is injured with the ACL, MCL tear. Whatever happened at UFC London, I'm not 100% too sure, but I don't think they're going to give Tom Aspinall the push up to number 3 at this point. Coming off a loss to Curtis Blaydes, I don't know. They might need him to fight someone else at this point. So I would say Sergey Pavlovich and Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa. The winner, I don't know what they're going to get, but I think that's the fight to make next. Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich. and I would say 3 rounds. I don't want to make that one a main event. I say co-main events, main card of a pay-per-view. It's going to be an amazing heavyweight matchup. For Ciryl Gane, I think it's very simple. You're not going to give him the title fight because he already lost to Francis Ngannou. Usually you got to get a few more wins before you get the title fight. Plus, you got Jon Jones, you got Stipe Miocic in the wings waiting for their chance to pounce on a title fight with Francis Ngannou. Plus, the fact that Francis Ngannou is injured. Ciryl Gane is the #1 contender, but not going to get the title fight. So I would say a good matchup and a good fight for Ciryl Gane to really prove that #1 contendership is going to be with Curtis Razor Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes' wrestling and grappling has been looking amazing. His striking actually looked really good against Tom Aspinall. I think that's the fight to make. Ciryl Gane versus Curtis Blaydes in Houston. I don't know where they're going to make that fight, but main event of a fight night, I think that should be a good fight. The winner of that one gets the winner of Stipe Miocic, Jon Jones, and Francis Ngannou. A lot of things to be said there in the heavyweight division. It's a weird little mix there, especially with Jon Jones, Stipe, Ngannou, that whole situation. But Curtis Blaydes, Ciryl Gane, Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Pavlovich, Marvin Vittori versus Andre Muniz, Robert Whittaker versus Alex Pereira if he loses. If he wins, I have no idea. And then for the last one, which is did I already do Nasruddin? Nasruddin Imavov versus the loser of Jack Hermanson and Derek Brunson. And then Joaquin Buckley versus the winner of Gregory Rodriguez and Chidi Njokuani. If not, we'll just do the Punahele Soriano fight. That's what I got for the 3 big fights after UFC Fight Night France. Gane versus Tuivasa. But another fight I wanted to say is going to be Benoit Saint-Denis. I think a fight that I would love to see Benoit Saint-Denis a part of that I saw on Twitter is going to be Joel Alvarez. If we look at the UFC lightweight rankings, Benoit is nowhere near there. He's nowhere near this high into the UFC lightweight division rankings to really be considered for a Joel Alvarez fight, but I don't care. Joel Alvarez is all the way up here at number 17 in the UFC lightweight division, beating Thiago Moises, Alexander Yakovlev, Joe Duffy, Danny, losing to Damiris Magulov. I don't care. I want Joel Alvarez versus Benoit Saint-Denis, 2 really good wrestlers and grapplers that have 100% finish rates in their professional MMA career. That's a good fight. But what do y'all think about the matchups that I made? What do you think would be good matchups for the other fights on the main card and prelims of UFC Fight Night? Gane Tuivasa. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. 40 likes. Let's get it. Comment yours down below.